The next presentation that we have is by a group of scholars, including Jarmo Jantunen, Tehri Ainiala, Salla, Jokela, and Jenny Tarvainen, all from various Finnish universities. And the significance of the piece that we're about to hear is that this was the winner of the 2022 Article of the Year award that was given from Names, a Journal of Onomastics. You can find that article via the link that I'm about to post in the chat now. So please do take a look at this article when you have a chance. And now I'll turn it over to Dan to play the video presentation of these scholars.
Okay, thank you very much for this invitation to give the speech today. We are a team of 4 researchers consisting of 3 linguists, Jarmo Jantunen from the University of Jyväskylä, Terhi Ainiala from the University of Helsinki, Tarvainen from the University of Jyväskylä, and my name is Salla Jokela, and I'm working at the Tampere University, and my background is in geography. So our research is based on an approach called corpus-assisted onomastics, which refers to the application of corpus research methods to study names and their usage. And the method we are using in our study is called corpus-assisted discourse studies, or CADS, which combines qualitative and corpus methodologies to examine language patterns. And we combine this approach with another methodological approach called visual gisting, which exploits corpora and spatial data and uses GIS, or geographical information systems, to analyze and visualize this data. And our research has proceeded through 2 steps. We have first identified discourses from the Suomi 24 discussion forum, which is a social media corpus of authentic Finnish discourse. And secondly, we have analyzed and visualized the discourses on the basis of associated spatial data. And we focus on discourses related to the Finnish capital region, and more specifically to on the toponyms of Helsinki, Espoo, and Vantaa, which are the 3 biggest municipalities in this region. And here you can see our research questions. So firstly, we asked, what are the online digital discourses that relate to the names of these 3 capital region cities? Secondly, we asked, how do the discourses differ from one another? And thirdly, what do these discourses reveal about the patterns of socio-spatial differentiation in Finland's capital region? And finally, we asked, how does combining CADS and GIS work to reveal and visualize the contextual information and discursive patterns of toponyms? And in our study, we have followed the tradition of previous studies that represent the spatial turn in digital humanities, or digital geohumanities. So there are different ways of referring to this turn that combines geographical approaches to humanities. And this approach stems from the understanding that discourses are bound to the social processes through which spatial entities such as cities and neighborhoods are produced or reproduced. And the names of places matter and are important in this context, because the naming of places, together with different placemaking perspectives and representations, can create socio-spatial distinctions, borders, and place identities that are based on a collective understanding of the urban space. And these understandings in turn have some material consequences as they impact people's choices, such as where to invest or where to live. Onomastic studies often use internet as a source of digital data, but there are quite few studies that have used comprehensive text corpora. However, there are some examples that we have also reviewed in our paper. For instance, one previous study consists of an analysis of the choice of preposition in the titles of organizations using data from the Bank of English. Another study has focused on the occurrence of personal and place names in various phraseological units using the British National Corpus. And then there is also a study on the use of definite articles in the names of countries using the corpus of contemporary American English. And when it comes to visual gisting, there are also quite interesting studies that we have drawn on and also contributed to through our paper. These have focused on identifying place names within textual data. And these studies include visualizations of automatically extracted place names, discursive association between the construct of money and the place name Dunkirk, association between Lake District names and language users' associations with the constructs of beauty and picturesque, as well as environmental discourses related to the Rosemont copper mine debate in Arizona. And of course, if you're interested in learning more about these studies, you can review those in our paper.
So our study focuses on discourses that relate to the Finnish capital region. And Helsinki is the capital of Finland, and it is the biggest city with approximately 200,000 inhabitants. Espoo and Vantaa are neighboring cities of Helsinki, Espoo being the second and Vantaa fourth populous city in Finland. The capital region's population altogether is around 1.2 million inhabitants. And even though the geographical area is quite small, around 1/5 of Finland's inhabitants live in the area. We collected our data from this Suomi 24, meaning Finland 24 forum that contains 24 thematic subfora such as traveling, health and family. This forum is one of the largest online forums in Finland, although it's no longer the most popular one. Still, whenever one Googles something in Finnish, one of the first results is a thread in this forum. Our data is around 2.7 billion tokens in total, and it's collected from discussions that have taken place between the years 2001 and 2016. And for compiling the Helsinki subcorpus, we used the city name Helsinki, but also common nicknames for the city Hesa and Study. The other cities don't have that commonly used nicknames, and therefore we used the standard names. The reference corpus for the keyword analysis was compiled using systematic sampling, in which messages posted in the discussion forum were extracted at 1 minute past each hour around the clock. This ensured that the data was not temporally or thematically biased. First, we conducted a keyword analysis. And keywords are those words that occur in the data significantly more often than one would expect them to otherwise occur by chance. And this allowed us to recognize the semantic contexts that are unique to our datasets compared to the reference corpus. We analyzed the first 300 statistically significant keywords for each city, and a frequency threshold was set at 50 to eliminate noise coming from the repetition of identical postings. This also helped us to focus on established usage and meanings. Next, we revealed discourse prosodies, the repeatedly occurring associations made between the city names and their sets of semantically related items. And this was done by grouping the keywords into semantic categories. And we did not set these categories beforehand. The categorization of the keywords was done by two of us to eliminate subjective bias, and some unclear meanings were discussed with the whole team. This process led to 17 discourse prosody groups, from which we examined the 3 most wide-ranging discourse prosodies. Then these discourse prosodies were mapped and visualized using geographical information systems. And in this discourse analysis, we thereby complemented the statistical analysis with an interpretation of the possible deeper cultural meanings of the utterances derived from the data.
So, when the keywords were grouped into semantic categories or discourse prosodies, the following groups were formed. First, when people talk about the cities of Helsinki, Espoo, and Vantaa on the discussion forum, they also talk about places and directions. This category is the largest semantic category for all 3 cities. We have also seen in the other corpus onomastic studies that this semantic category is a significant category of place names. Other categories into which keywords cluster include mobility, housing, politics, commerce, crime and justice, time and people, and so on. In this presentation, we will focus on the first 3 categories: places, mobility, and housing. In this table, we see examples of keywords that belong to the category places and directions. These include, for example, the appellatives city center and town. In the middle columns, there are examples of words that are specific to each city. We see here that when a city is mentioned in the data, it is quite common to discuss neighborhoods. For example, in the context of Helsinki, the proper noun Eira is mentioned quite often. It refers to a neighborhood of Helsinki, and the appellative Kantakaupunki, central urban area, denotes to the downtown of Helsinki. It is also common to refer to other towns in Finland, and especially in the case of Helsinki, to foreign capitals such as London, Stockholm, and Tallinn. Some provinces and countries are also mentioned, as well as appellatives indicating location and direction, such as word sijainti, location, circled in the table. On this slide, I have 2 example sentences from the data. In the first one, it is said that the richest people in Helsinki live in the central urban area in Eira neighborhood, not in the northern part of Helsinki. It is a general thinking in Finland that Eira is one of the most expensive places to live in Helsinki and in whole Finland. The second example illustrates how someone thinks that Espoo is far too overpriced for housing and living. Here, comparison is made with other cities in the metropolitan area, Helsinki and Vantaa, and the argument is based on the factors such as poor location, services, social factors, and nature, and so on. This slide shows keywords that are grouped in the category of housing. Again, the shared words are on the right, and each city's own words are in the middle. The keywords in the subcategory residential area are semantically close to the previous category of places, but now they refer primarily to housing and not to a specific place or direction. A big subcategory is housing type. Here we have words such as studio and flat in the right column, and 2-bedroom apartment mentioned in the connection of Vantaa. The example here and the words related to Espoo show how Espoo is seen as posh area with big stone-made detached houses and people who appreciate an expensive lifestyle. This example is from a conversation in which a person is wondering whether a man living in Espoo would be a more suitable partner than a long-term unemployed man living in an unprivileged neighborhood of Helsinki.
And now we move to mobility. There were no major differences between the cities in terms of the quantity of mobility, but qualitative properties for each city seemed to differ. And as shown in this table, subcategories of public transport and roads are common to all 3 cities, whereas the other categories are existent only for 2 of the cities. And Helsinki is often being discussed in terms of air travel, because Helsinki's airport is geographically located in Vantaa. The keyword airport also features heavily in the context of Vantaa. Furthermore, Vantaa often appeared together with Helsinki in toponym Helsinki-Vantaa Airport, being the official name for the Helsinki airport. In the discussions, the role of Helsinki as the place for departing and arriving flights was often emphasized. As seen also in the example, some time ago I flew to Havana from Helsinki via Moscow, even though the airport itself is not located within municipal boundaries of Helsinki. And now you can see a map, and this is a proportional symbol map showing relative number of mobility, keywords, and semantic classes in this discourse prosody for Helsinki, Vantaa, and Espoo. And without going into details, we give you results on one investigation. Discussions on different modes of transport were often connected to movement in general. Verbs expressing visiting, leaving, and arriving appeared in both Helsinki and Vantaa, but there were no such instances whatsoever detected in the Espoo subcorpus. In the figure, the discourse prosody movement is shown as striped. One explanation might be that Espoo was less seen as a point of departure or arrival than either Helsinki or Vantaa. And now to our conclusions. We have here investigated the digital urban discourses surrounding the names used for 3 cities in Finland's capital region, Helsinki, Espoo, and Vantaa. We used onomastics, geographical information systems, and corpus-assisted discourse analysis to detect the potential differences in online discourses that made reference to these cities. And our analysis revealed stark patterns of socio-spatial differentiation and thus confirmed the perceived special role of capitals in the spatial order of nation-states. And the knowledge gained from research such as ours may serve urban planners and branding experts who strive to understand the ways people attach meaning to particular cities and neighborhoods. And finally, corpus data and corpus linguistic methods are a powerful way to study names in actual use. And then, thank you for your attention. Kiitos.
Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. I would like to, we have the authors here, a few of the authors here, I believe. Jarmo and Jenny, and did I see Terry? Yes, Terry here as well. I'd like to, open the floor up for any questions from the room. Feel free to type your question in chat or raise your hands. As you're reaching for the raise hand button, I see one in the chat that I can read. From David Wade. Very interesting presentation. Finland has two official languages, Finnish and Swedish. The capital city of Finland, Helsinki, is called Helsingfors in Swedish. The largest Swedish language newspaper in Helsinki is, I'm going to have trouble pronouncing this, although some of my ancestry is Swedish. It's Hufvudstadsbladet. Could your study approach be used to study names, the same names in their Swedish versions?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But since this material we used here was only in Finnish, discussions in this Suomi 24 forum, they are only used. They are in Finnish, but certainly this kind of study could be applied to the Swedish material as well. No problem.
Yes, perhaps I could add something too. I believe it's possible, but perhaps we could also collect our own corpus, for example, using that Swedish newspaper Hufvudstadsbladet, or also to use the Finnish language or the Helsingin Sanomat, Helsinki newspaper, which is a Finnish newspaper, and we could compare the results written in or compare the discussion and discourses written in the Swedish and Finnish newspaper. But I think in Suomi 24 corpus, Finnish 24 corpus, there is not that much Swedish language that we could use that to make analysis. But that's a very good idea indeed.
Yeah, and I might also add that the names of the cities, but also the city neighborhoods are different in Finnish and Swedish. So when we are comparing keywords and discourses, it would refer to different data. So with the Finnish words, we wouldn't be able to approach Swedish data.
Thank you. Iman, I see you have your hand raised.
I wanted to, it's a bit of a tangential thing, but since you're all here, I was wondering if you all could say a few words about the state of onomastic study in Scandinavia, because one of the things that I've definitely noticed over the years is that you all have some really stellar research coming out of Scandinavia. So was wondering if you could say a few words on what do you think are the factors that are contributing to that that wealth of science that's coming out, and where do you see future directions of those cooperatives going?
I believe that Terhi is the best person to answer this question, because you know more about onomastics than at least I do, and perhaps Jenny.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, at least in Scandinavia, in Nordic countries, we do have quite a long tradition doing kind of research together combining our strengths and organizing seminars, conferences together, and we have had this Nordic collaboration forum society for onomastics for more than 50 years, 60 years or something like that, and we have also been very eager to do multidisciplinary studies, and I believe it's one of the kind of the strengths we have when we do onomastics, because at least in my opinion, it certainly is a great value to combine different methodological and theoretical approaches. And I guess that also our study is one kind of study showing that, and in nowadays in Nordic countries, I believe that's well, it has been very kind of strong focus on for example on socio-onomastics and but nowadays also corpus studies are being more popular.
I'm going to ask this question because I get asked this question quite a lot from students who are looking for positions where they can study onomastics. It's very hard to find a position within the United States, for example. Positions are closing out in Great Britain. What's the job situation looking like in Scandinavia for prospective students who would like to perhaps find a PhD supervisor, or for academics who are looking to relocate?
Well, yes, there are. Well, for example, in Finland, in our University of Helsinki, it is possible to study onomastics. Well, at least kind of in linguistic onomastics, and in some other universities as well. But I would say that in Finland, our university is the strongest one, and then there are in other Nordic countries, for example, Uppsala University in Sweden, and in Denmark, the University of Copenhagen, they are also very strong when it comes to studying and doing onomastics, and so there are possibilities.
Thank you. Then I will be sending students your way.
Yeah, please do. We are happy to welcome them.
Thank you all for your insight into your work and into the insight into onomastics in the Scandinavian Academy. It's so valuable for all of us to hear, and we so appreciate your presence and contribution today to the program. Oh yes, and Jenny mentions that that you can find the references cited in the presentation in the paper, which I'll link again right here. Please do click on that link, check out the full article, and you can reach out to any of the authors via the email addresses provided there in the paper as well.